So what if the invisible world, the stuff around us, consciousness, subtle energies, things we can't quite measure, what if that holds the real key?
The key to unlocking our potential, maybe.
Exactly. And what if science and spiritual growth are actually way more tangled up than we usually think? Well, this deep dive, we're looking at some really fascinating sources you listeners sent in. They hint at these exact connections. We're talking strange water science, ancient ideas.
It's quite a mix.
It really is. Watch until the end, folks. You will be surprised.
Yeah, we've got a really eclectic collection here. An e-cycle piece on structured water does it work, doesn't it? A Reddit thread digging into consciousness, space-time, the EM field.
Oh, the electromagnetic field.
Right. Then there's Darius J. Wright talking OBEs on Next Level Soul, a Brazil Escola bit on mind healing, an exam article about consciousness in the EM field.
McFadden theory.
That's the one. Plus, a salk on Rupert Sheldrake's morphic resonance, collective memory.
Wild stuff.
And materials from CLV, that's the Centro Espiritual Luz de Verdad, on fluidified water in Spiritism.
So quite the range.
Definitely. Our mission here is really to sift through all this, find the surprising links, the little nuggets that connect consciousness, these subtle energies, and, well, our potential for growth individually and collectively.
Okay, let's dive in. Where should we start? Maybe with water. That seems to pop up a few times.
Good idea. That e-cycle article on structured water.
Right. It basically says, lots of health claims, but the really solid science, it's kind of lacking.
Skepticism.
Yeah. But it does mention some smaller studies, like one from 2013, magnetized water in rats, showed lower blood glucose, some effects on DNA, liver damage, small scale, but interesting.
It is interesting, especially how the idea persists, that water can be altered, which leads nicely into the CELV material on fluidified water.
Okay, so contrast that scientific caution with this spiritist view. What's the idea there?
Well, CELV talks about water being imbued with medicinal fluids, either by spirits or through the magnetic intention of living people.
Magnetic intention?
Yeah.
Like focusing your thoughts on the water.
Sort of, yeah. Or using specific magnetic passes in some practices. They talk about 3 types: magnetic, spiritual, or mixed. The core idea. Simple water can take on powerful qualities through these, let's say, subtle influences.
Wow. Okay, and they go further, right? Something about atoms.
They do. They suggest fluidified water expands physical atoms, allowing unknown spiritual atom to enter and help with healing. It's quite a framework.
Definitely beyond standard chemistry.
Yeah.
But it touches on this theme of energy and influence interacting with matter, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And that links to another piece. We have the exam article on Professor John J. McFadden's theory about consciousness.
Right, the idea that consciousness isn't just in the neurons, but in the brain's electromagnetic field.
Exactly. He suggests our awareness is basically the experience of our nerves interacting with this EM field the brain itself generates. It's dynamic.
Dynamic, okay. How does that connect?
Well, it resonates with that Reddit discussion on consciousness. They had this great thought experiment.
Oh, yeah.
What if you could instantly freeze a body to absolute zero? Poof. Would consciousness still be there?
Probably not. Everything stopped.
That was the consensus, yeah. Because a static arrangement of particles likely means a static EM field. No change, no flow. So the idea is consciousness isn't just the brain structure, it's the activity, the changing electromagnetic patterns within it.
Okay, I see that. And connecting back to water. The CLV stuff said water is an EM conductor, right? And it can absorb these fluids.
It did. It said water conducts electromagnetic force and absorbs and transmits fluids.
So could there be a link? I mean, it's speculative, but if the brain's EM field is key for consciousness, could changing the EM properties of water we drink, like this fluidified water, have some kind of subtle effect?
It's a fascinating question to ask. The Reddit thread also brought up the combination problem.
What's that?
It's a challenge for theories like panpsychism. If consciousness is fundamental, how do little bits of it combine to make our single unified experience? And they also question if the brain's EM field can actually cause changes in neurons, or if it's just an effect.
Ah, the cause and effect loop.
Right. So if fluidified water does somehow alter water's EM properties and that interacts with our biology, could that be a subtle way the body's electromagnetic environment gets tweaked, including the brain's? Highly speculative, like you said, but it shows how these things might interconnect.
Okay, let's pivot a bit. A very different angle on consciousness comes from Darius J. Wright, talking about out-of-body experiences.
Yeah, on Next Level Soul.
Yeah.
He sees OBEs not just as brain glitches, but as actual gateways.
Gateways to where?
Other dimensions, sources of celestial knowledge. It's a big leap from the physics-based discussion.
Definitely. What does he say helps access this?
He really emphasizes overcoming fear. Says fear is the main block. Get past it, and you can access your true nature, what he calls the untouchable soul.
Untouchable soul. Interesting phrasing.
And he talks about raising your frequency through things like unconditional love, integrity, authenticity. He links this to facilitating OBEs, gaining understanding, even healing.
So it brings in this spiritual, energetic component, our internal state affecting our access to other realities.
Precisely. Which raises the question, are these higher dimensions he talks about maybe related to altered states linked to our own EM field, just experienced differently? Or are they truly separate places, like he suggests? It's a core difference in perspective.
He also mentioned ancient civilizations, didn't he, that they understood this stuff?
He did. Believes they knew about multidimensional reality, how to use frequency, spoken word, to interact with it, maybe access portals even.
That makes me think of Rupert Sheldrake. The ESALC article covers his morphic resonance idea.
Ah, yes. Sheldrake's hypothesis. The idea that information patterns can be transmitted without energy transfer, creating a kind of collective species memory.
Like the monkeys learning to crack coconuts.
Exactly. That's the classic example. Once enough learn it, somehow it gets easier for others, even if they're far away, as if tapping into a field of knowing.
So could those ancient practices, Wright, mentions using frequency, intention be like a practical application of something like morphic resonance?
It's an intriguing thought, isn't it? Could focused intention and frequency somehow influence or tap into a shared field, making knowledge or abilities more accessible as more people engage?
And Wright mentioned a reset, suppression of knowledge.
Yeah, he touches on that. Which, if you follow the morphic resonance idea, makes you wonder, could you disrupt or even intentionally influence those fields?
Okay, circling back to the fluidified water again, the CELV details.
Right, they're quite specific. Medicinal fluids added either by discarnate spirits or via focused magnetic action from living people. This fluidification alters the water subtly, gives it healing properties.
How does that square with Sheldrake? Information without energy.
Well, could the intention, the prayer, the focus energy directed at the water be the imprinting mechanism? Like putting subtle information or an energetic pattern onto the water.
And they were those physical findings?
Yes, the Unispirito experiments mentioned by CELV, they found magnetized water had lower electrical conductivity.
Suggesting
Maybe better organization, a greater capacity to hold or retain this subtle energy or information. And they also consistently found the pH shifted, became more alkaline.
Okay. Measurable physical changes. And CLV also had those more esoteric explanations, expanding atoms.
They did, expanding physical atoms to make room for unknown spiritual atoms for healing. Plus claims about inhibiting free radicals, improving cell osmosis, renewing the paraspiritual structure.
The paraspirit being like an energetic body.
In spiritist terms, yes, a subtle body linking the physical and the spirit. So how do the physical changes, lower conductivity, alkaline pH, relate to these healing claims?
That's the million-dollar question, I guess.
It is. The mechanisms described are outside current science, clearly. But the fact that some physical changes are observed in water under magnetic or intentional influence, that's interesting. It warrants investigation, even if you set aside the spiritual explanations for a moment.
And belief seems crucial here too. The CELV materials stress trust and faith for the water to be effective.
Absolutely. Which connects right back to Darius Wright talking about the placebo effect, the power of belief in outcomes, in healing.
And maybe even Sheldrake. Could collective belief strengthen a morphic field?
It's a possibility within his framework, isn't it? Repeated patterns, shared belief reinforcing the field. It really highlights this crucial factor. How much do our own minds, our intentions, our beliefs act as a catalyst?
Or an amplifier?
Exactly. For these subtle processes. If morphic fields exist, does belief help us tune in? Does the intention behind fluidification plus the recipient's faith unlock something? It points to a really powerful mind-body energy connection.
Okay, deep breath. We're about halfway through this exploration. I just wanted to share some good news. If you're enjoying this deep dive, if you like this video and maybe drop a comment, YouTube's algorithms will get smarter about what you like. They'll start recommending more videos like this one to you.
Helping the algorithm help you.
Pretty much. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel and maybe share this video with friends who might find this stuff interesting too.
Good call. Okay, so where were we? We've covered quite a bit.
We have EM fields, consciousness, OBEs, ancient wisdom, morphic resonance, that fluidified water.
Yeah, bringing all these threads together, it really paints a picture, doesn't it? A reality that feels much more interconnected, maybe more influenced by subtle energies than, standard science currently maps out.
It really does. Like these different viewpoints, scientific, scientific, spiritual, traditional, or maybe just showing us different sides of the same complex reality. We said at the start, watch until the end and you will be surprised. And I hope connecting these dots has been, well, surprising.
And here's a final thought, maybe something provocative to chew on. Could this power of intention and belief, the kind we see highlighted with fluidified water, the kind Darius Wright talks about this ability to seemingly influence matter and experience, could that be a manifestation of the same underlying principles? Meaning, could it link back to the physics of the brain's EM field being tied to consciousness, like McFadden and the Redditors suggest, and also connect to the broader influence of information fields, like Sheldrake's morphic fields?
Wow. So intention and belief tapping into both the personal EM field and a wider morphic field.
Perhaps. Suggesting a fundamental loop between our consciousness, our intention, and the very fabric of reality. It's a big idea.
It really is. Well, if you found this deep dive fascinating, if these connections sparked your curiosity, please do give the video a like, leave a comment with your thoughts, definitely subscribe if you haven't, and share it so others can discover this too.
And you should see 2 videos popping up on your screen about now. Click on whichever one grabs your interest to continue your journey of discovery.